Hello, everyone. This is Matthew Brand. Today, I want to talk about really quick what's not abuse in a relationship. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because I heard a story yesterday where a woman was saying her husband had been abusive to her, but all throughout the story, she admitted that he wasn't physically or emotionally abusive or verbally abusive, but he was manipulative because he expressed that he was self-conscious about some of the things she did while she was at work. He was basically insecure about the fact that she had her own career. Um, to me, that wasn't abusive, but it just he's explaining the way he feels. Now, I understand that it's very regressive to not accept a woman with a career, but if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. It's what you do about it that is abusive. Also, I wanted to say really quick, I see a lot. I mean, it's very, very, very hard for me to find anything talking about what's not really abusive. It's one of those misdiagnosis things where just because you have a cough doesn't mean you have pneumonia. And it seems like when it comes to abuse, people will tell everybody about the cough can be pneumonia, but they never really tell you, where it really shows that it's pneumonia, instead of just the common cold. So that's why I'm making this video. I didn't find anything out there. I looked for a good half hour where I didn't find anything just saying what could be mistaken for abuse. So this is a top 5 countdown, and here we go. Number 5, bringing up old stuff that's still relevant. Sometimes things have happened in relationships that hurts both parties. Sometimes it's offensive towards the person who committed the act. Sometimes, and it it is usually one of those unspoken rules that if you forgive somebody for something, you're not supposed to keep bringing it up. However, sometimes it does still get brought up because it's still relevant. And if it's still relevant, I mean, you have to accept that. If someone has, let's say, you in your relationship, you guys don't really accept porn as a thing. Well, if the person keeps sneaking behind your back and watching porn, um, it's still relevant to bring up the last time they did it when you catch them again. Same thing with lying. Same thing with anger problems. Any type of addiction. Same thing. So number 4, the occasional non-violent burst of anger. Everybody gets angry every now and then. It sounds simple, but sometimes people like to bring up all the time someone's been angry throughout a relationship. Over years and years, they've been together, they've been married, or dating for a long time, and they make it look like it's a small thing, but that doesn't mean it's abuse. Whenever you hear somebody say this, and this is not really for people who are in relationships as much as for people who are listening to people talk about their relationships. Anytime you hear this and hear people talk about anger or any type of mistake that's going on throughout the years of a relationship, if it's non-violent, if it's not too demeaning, I mean, everybody even demeans everybody now and then. But if it's really rare and few in between, listen for that. Understand that over years of relationship, that's going to happen. And don't judge someone too harshly because they spazzed out every now and then. Number um number 3, drawing a line. I find this one funny because it's also the reason or step someone gives to stopping an abusive relationship. Say, hey, if you do this again, I'm going to leave. Okay, so in that case, everybody has to draw a line where they're going to put up with and not put up with something. And this is kind of a sexist rule of thumb because when guys do it, they're considered controlling, but when girls do it, they're considered standing up for themselves because guys are usually typically considered to be a bully. I don't like that because sometimes guys have to stand up for what they accept or not. My problem is when more lines keep getting drawn out of nowhere for no reason, or I find it abusive when someone draws a fake line, like they say, "Hey, if you do this, I'm going to leave you," or something along those lines. But they know they're lying. They're just trying to get a reaction out of you, or trying to get you to do what they want. That's controlling. That's abusive. But just saying you're not going to put up with something, and maybe even finding out later that, hey, I could deal with this better than I could. Like a girl not wanting their boyfriend to go to the strip club, he goes, he comes back, she finds out about it, or he tells her. She might not be as hurt as she thought she would, or it might not be worth sacrificing the whole relationship over, but that was a line she drew. That's not abusive just because she, didn't want him to go. That's more like, hey, don't do that. I really don't appreciate that. That's hurtful. That's just a rule in the relationship. And number 2, explaining an insecurity. Explaining an insecurity to someone, telling someone you're jealous, you don't feel comfortable about something, is not abusive. It's abusive depending on what you do about it. If you tell somebody you're going to slap them, or you're going to cheat on them if they go do something, or threaten them in some way over what they're doing, that's abusive. But just telling somebody and being honest with someone that you don't feel comfortable about, that allows them to make a decision on whether or not you guys are going to work out, if whether or not you guys are really comfortable with what's going on. Maybe you can change things around, compromise. That's what a relationship's about. So how are you going to do that if you don't even explain in the first place that you're insecure? I hate that people say that, if someone's insecure or something, they need to go to counselor. Sometimes there's a reason for it. It's not always a counseling thing. Counseling is just one person trying to get the other person to do what they want and getting the backup for it. And the last one, number one, is demanding to be heard. There's nothing wrong with demanding that you be heard. Your voice matters in a relationship. It's two people, sometimes more if you're polyamorous, but I'm sticking with two people for right now. If you want to be a valid person in a relationship, you need to demand that your voice be heard. So you shouldn't consider it abusive if someone's ignoring you and you don't let them do that. Now, I'm not saying that you slap them. I'm not saying that you yell at them. I'm not saying that you threaten them. But if you yell over how they're trying to ignore you, or you just don't put up with it by saying, I don't know, leaving, or not going to just la di da about it, not letting it drop, then yeah, that's not abusive. That's standing up saying, hey, I want my voice to be heard, and it's important to me. And if you don't like that, then you don't like this relationship. That's all that has to be said. I'm not going to say this all has to be said. Obviously, that can vary, but it's just that needs to be accepted as that's what can happen in a relationship. I find out that too many times people don't accept that as something important, and when a guy does it, once again, this is kind of a sexist thing, because if a girl demands her voice to be heard, she's not considered a bully. But with guys, they say, hey, he's being controlling. He won't let you, I don't know, ignore him or something like that. You don't have to listen to somebody talk to you or whatever if you don't have to. Once again, this is one of those things where this depends on how long you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship for a long time, a very long time, of course, you should listen to one another no matter what, but if you've only been dating for a few months or a few weeks, what somebody says isn't always that damn important. You might not be with them anymore, so you don't have to dedicate all your time. But if this is your life partner, they are one of the utmost priorities in your life. Unless you think that your guys are about to break up, then you should listen to what they're about to say, because they're probably, if you lost your job, your spouse should still be there. If anything else goes wrong in your life, your spouse is supposed to stick it out. And that's kind of the problem with relationships nowadays, is people don't even plan on sticking it out. And, people get all upset about so much stuff, but they don't even talk about it. That's the number two. They just bottle it up inside and act like they've been given the hints, but they haven't really said anything about it until they just leave. Um, so that's my opinions on what's not abusive. So all of these people give as signs of abuse. However, they're not necessarily abuse. It's usually what's done about them that's abusive. Bringing up stuff in the past. If you just keep bringing up stuff in the past just to hurt someone, that is obviously abusive. But if it's still relevant and you have a reason to bring it up, that's not necessarily abusive. Also, of course, everything varies culturally, and you have to take that into consideration too. But for the most part, thank you for listening to this. I appreciate you checking it out, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think. Give me a like, please. Please, I need likes. And I hope this was helpful. If you know somebody who could probably use this, who's worried they're in an abusive relationship, but you're kind of like, I think she's just over exaggerating, or he's over exaggerating. Maybe pass this on to them, share it with them. Oh, one more thing. Some people like to claim that they were in an abusive relationship because it makes them feel better about what they did in the relationship. So for people who listen to others who said they were in a so-called abusive relationship, also accept that as a fact. Some people just love to say that they did this and they did such and such and whatever. And yeah, people do stay in abusive relationships, but that is also why a lot of these stories get exaggerated, because they did something horrible, or they just left and they needed a reason to feel better about it. So thanks for checking this out, and peace.